So we have a coming together, listening, hearing, learning from one another, because we are the power and the strength of transformative action.
So definitely, it is an honor to be here today. Um, my last 2 days was very very hard. I had like a 19-hour flight coming in from San Francisco. So I landed maybe about 3 o'clock this morning, and I was like, well, I need to literally be in this space because creating a space of healing, uh, creating a space of reconciliation, and having so many like minds in the same environment, it's really powerful. It's very 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 powerful. So what I'll do today is I'll break this session down into 3 categories. The first category is going to be reflection. The second category is going to be reconciliation, and the third category is going to be rectified. Just being in a space to where we understand that we have the power to make things right. We literally have the power to make things right. Give you a small story about myself. My name is Kiana Calloway, New Orleans native, Louisiana native, born and raised here. In 1994, I was apprehended, arrested, and convicted for 2 counts of first-degree murder. In 1996, I was convicted of those charges and sentenced to 2 life terms. Uh, at 17, going to the Louisiana State Penitentiary, it was hard. It was hard. Um, and it was even harder having to bear the fact that I am in this correctional institution for a crime that I did not commit. The 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 actual trial lasted about 9 days. I'm 16. I'm very unaware and undereducated about the levels of the criminal justice system or the courts as a whole. Um, so it was just basically like I'm just sitting in the space in this stage show, watching individuals talk about who I am, where I come from, and giving me this title of being a murderer. And I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't fight for myself. I couldn't verbally put together a sentence that would be equally acceptable for the district attorney or the judge to even consider that this wasn't me. Why? And like I said over there, people is the reason why the system is on autopilot. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. People are the reason that our criminal justice system is on autopilot. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It was scriptured to do this. It was scriptured to dismantle the black communities. It was scriptured to take our fathers out of the homes and leave that responsibility on our black mothers. It was built that way. It was structured that way. But throughout the course of me serving time in Angola, I've learned the most important thing. And if anybody have been to Angola, when you first go through intake, they have a sign that says, "Don't serve time, let time serve you." I'm gonna repeat that one more time for people who missed it. Don't serve time, let time serve you. So that's when I just dug into the books. This is my first day at ARDC. I'm getting processed, 16 years old, 17 years, just turned 17 years old. I'm being processed, and that sign stuck to me. I didn't have a pen or a piece of paper, so I had to keep reciting it. Don't serve time, let time serve you. Don't serve time, let time serve you. It became a song to me. I'm all in the field with my displaying blade on my shoulder. Don't serve time, let time serve you. Don't serve time, let time serve you. But here I am in the field picking cotton for 4 cents an hour. I'm being dehumanized. I'm being treated as a number. So that's what brings me here. I've been home. I was released in 2011, April 11, 2011. So I'm going on 12 years this year, and it's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you. But this road to recovery is hard. This road to trying to feel equal in the world where you don't feel comfortable is hard. There's a word called autodidactic. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. It's called self-learn, self-talk, teaching yourself things to become successful and productive and adequate. That was one of my major words in my vocabulary, because now here I am, an executive director of an organization, a founder of a mentoring organization, a consultant to many, many organizations across the state of Louisiana, aimed toward rectifying the way that our criminal justice system is set up. But at the end of the day, I still need to heal. Every day, I walk in my truth. So when you say, is honesty hard? Honesty shouldn't be hard if you are walking in your truth. Because who's ever around you, they're going to respect your truth. They don't have to ask you questions. They don't have to ask or figure out who you are, because your reputation will precede you. So now, here we are. So it's a lot that got to go back in there, but I'm going to kind of reel it in so I can get back in space. So since I've been home in 2011, dealing with the many collateral consequences that linger overhead of people returning home from incarceration, there's a famous quote in Michelle Alexander's book, The New Jim Crow. She states that it seems like people returning home from incarceration is the only social group that America has permission to openly hate. Did y'all get that? That's powerful. And I didn't understand those terms through the literature or the text. I understand those terms through experience. Trying to enroll in college in 2013 and being discriminated because I have 2 murder charges on my jacket, on my rap sheet. I can't get in school. I'm like, wow, so you mean to tell me that you're going to stop me from educating myself because I have a blemish on my record, on my rap sheet? Because if me saying I didn't do it, that's not my charge. It's like me preaching to the choir, brother. They don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? So now it's to the point to where understanding that power is in people, power is in numbers, and power is in the implementation. Partnering with organizations around the city and the state in 2015 and 14, we had the opportunity to alleviate those barriers in the collegiate area so that legislation was passed to stop the discrimination in higher learning. I was very instrumental in that piece. But like I said, power is in numbers. It's not just about Kiana. And the very next week, I went to Delgado. I'm like, y'all about to let me in here. I was, hey, look, you better not tell me no. But anyway, so I graduate next fall with my criminal justice associate. And it's been a long road. It's been a long road, just understanding what we have to do. But in the process of educating myself, and understanding the elements now of cop courts and corrections, the elements of how our criminal justice is set up through black and white. And I understand that the black and white inside of that text, it is on point. But the biases of the ink that scripted that text is where the double-sided lens come in at. People are in positions to change seasons in our life. And people are in positions to alleviate or break those seasons in our life. So in 2000, and I'm kind of moving up to 220, so I have a few more special guests that I want to bring up today. But honestly, so in 2020, after we have alleviated the barriers in higher education for formerly incarcerated people, after we have collectively restored the voting rights for over 40,000 formerly incarcerated people here in Louisiana, after we had worked on the one of the last stands of Jim Crow and eliminating the non-unanimous jury verdict here in the state of Louisiana, after we have alleviated the barriers in employment for formerly incarcerated people, and I'm speaking right now because all of this is on a legislative level. This is us going into the state capitol, making these connections, having these hard conversations, not just one time, but over and over and over and over and over, until I felt like my glass is still half empty. My glass is still half empty. So in order for me to fill my glass up, me, associate producer Dorado Brooks, and another individual who's very content creative, Mark Carey, we traveled around the state of Louisiana to depict the harms that the criminal justice system has caused for people that look like me. For people who have the same like minds and values like me, because I say, you know what, they're not gonna understand these issues until we humanize it. We have to put a face to incarceration. We have to put a face to crime. We have to put a face to discrimination. We have to put a face to all of these different facets of life that we've been through. So I would like to get the share. Can we get this space to be shared so I can show videos of some of the work that we have been doing, that we have done throughout the city?
My name is Everett Ofrey, and I'm from the Florida Project. I did 27 and a half years in prison. I've been home for 1 month. I'm just so happy, bro. It's a blessing, bro. You know what I'm saying? To be here with my family, man. It's not like this feeling. I always dreamed about it, but now I'm experiencing it. And boy, the experience ain't nothing like the dream. It's more realer. And I'm happy, bro. It's a blessing. I can't ever say that I was totally defeated inside of prison. I never felt that way. I always felt like, man, I'm gonna get out of this prison one day. I understood that a lot of other brothers don't understand the seriousness of the situation. How could one young, uneducated, poor, black guy be versus the state of Louisiana and stand a chance of winning? In some way, I got an affinity for the law. And I started practicing law. God put me in a position to be able to bless some brothers with their freedom. But the system didn't help me at all. My family and my friends, the people that helped me get out of prison, they're the ones that helped me re-enter society, and that's helping me now. Because, man, there's a lot to adjust to after being locked up for 27 years. Everything didn't change. Even the area where I grew up at, this was all project bricks. Now it looked like townhouses. Well, my words to the youth is, man, pay attention. Listen. Gain wisdom. Wisdom comes from all the people that live these experiences. Listen to your mother. Listen to your grandmother, most of all. Listen to the older people, because they got a place. Man, they have a place. I know a place that grown men are crying real tears right now. And that's Louisiana State Prison. Incarceration is not for nobody. I am Everett Ofrey. We are all the same.
So definitely, that was powerful. That was powerful. I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Ofrey his third day home after serving 27 years. And being able to sit down and capture his reentry map, his guide, his space, like a lot of stuff we don't even have on camera, you know, which I believe is a huge piece, because he said something that was very influential to me that day, that I still walk with right now, and that was maybe about 6 months ago. And he said, you know what, Key, I'm here to feed the people. He said, I want to feed the people. He said, I was in prison, man. He said, I ain't know nothing about no law. He said, but when I sat in there and I start understanding it, he said, I got an affinity for it. He said, I start waking up to it. He's saying, God told me in my dream, he said, man, you here to feed the people. And this brother did 27 years, but he worked on countless of appeals to get individuals home. So I would like to give a round of applause for Mr. Everett. I wish he could have been here today to kind of spoke with us and hold us down. So and when we speak about healing, healing for me is transformative. Healing for me is therapeutic. Healing is becoming a part of a process that's restorative to be well again. Healing is holistically mind, body, and soul. And once we understand that, how can we begin that track? Because nobody is completely healed in this space. It's an everyday journey. My mom is 71 years old, been diagnosed with breast cancer 5 times, in remission, just come out of chemo. That was my warrior while I served 17 years incarcerated. And she's healing every day. 2 days, still healing. Mentally, still working out. Spiritually, still reading her Bible and attending service and congregating with her peers. You know, emotionally, she's dealing with the stresses of life. But then she's also worried about her son Kiana, who's looked like he got it together, but you know, mother knows best. You know, and she knows. So to kind of swing it around. So when I say mind, body, and soul, I mean that in order for us to do what we need to do and express that full level of complacency inside of our own selves, we have to step out on that branch. And like I said, I served 17 years for a crime that I did not commit, and now the Jefferson Parish District Attorney's office is reopening and revisiting my case to consider exoneration, and I believe that is a step toward healing. Honestly, for real. And like I said, it's not about me. So what I want to do now is I want to, like, just with these, like the videos, I had 3, but I think that I don't want to continue to push on with the videos. They're powerful. They're on YouTube, Kiana Calloway's YouTube page, 40 for 40 Worldwide. But that mission was to highlight the voices of impacted individuals. So that's what I'm about to do now. I'm about to introduce Mr. Earl Hagan. We're going to come up and have a small panel discussion, and Mr. Beverly Johnson.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
How y'all doing?
I'm going to talk real fast because I have to go. I stay like 2.5 hours away. I have to be to work at 5:30 today. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name, my legal birth name is Beverly Christopher Johnson. Everybody called me Shane or Shitty. Depends on where we at. Depends on where you at. I served 24 years in Louisiana prison system. I've been home 9 months. On the 17th, made 9 months. Thank you. I'm a co-creator of ISSC, which is Impacted Solitary Survivors Council. We hooked up with the National Coalition Stop Solitary Confinement by the year 2028 inside of jails and prison here in Louisiana. Also, I have my own nonprofit called Civic Leadership Association. This is something that I started in prison, and I just kind of transferred itself out here. And the rules of it is simple. We try to help people become leaders, because we feel like we all have those qualities. We try to equip you with the tools to know how to use those things. So, unfortunately, like Kiana, I'm guilty of my crime. I was sentenced to a 40-year sentence on a manslaughter charge. It was second-degree murder. I pled guilty. And they sentenced me to 40 years. It was a situation, because I'm right here from New Orleans, Louisiana, born and raised out the Lafitte Project. It didn't happen in New Orleans. It happened in Baton Rouge because I transitioned, and I actually started going to Southern when it happened. I was 20 years old when it happened. But of course, I was trying to scrag the fence. I was living the drug life and trying to do this schoolboy prep thing. And of course, we all know which one had the most control, money. So it was a situation where, I'm not gonna go into details, but yes, I am guilty of that crime, and I took full responsibility for it. And I also, February the 2nd of this year, when I went up for parole, that was my first time having the ability to apologize to his family, as well as mine too. And after the apology, his sister said that she would never forgive me, which, for me personally, I don't have a choice if she forgive me or not. That's not up for me to do. But I did forgive myself for the act that I committed. And because of that act, and I'm about to pass it on, and because of that act, that one selfish act that day changed my life forever. Now, inside of prison, because I went when I was 20 years old. I came home when I was 45, which is right now. So the bulk of my years, the bulk of my maturity was in prison, right? I wasn't an angel in prison either, because in my mind, in my soul, in my spirit, I wasn't coming home until after I do 32 years. So with that mentality, I continued my bad behavior, because behaviors are learned behaviors. If you learn bad behavior, you're going to continue that cycle. And before I went to prison, I didn't mind really going to prison. Flawed concept right here. And it's for the younger generation. It's a flawed concept. You have a lot of young black men on the streets of New Orleans and in other cities. They don't really fear prison anymore. Why they don't fear prison anymore? They partners, they daddies, they brothers, they uncles, everybody letting them know how prison is. You know, I mean, pretty much whatever you want to do, that's what you can do in prison if you choose that route. I grew up in the Lafitte Project, so I grew up in a box. The system is designed. It's been designed to manipulate us to act a certain way. I grew up in the Lafitte Project. I grew up in a box. They had people stay on top of me, people stay on the side of me, people stay on the other side of me. When I went to prison and went inside of a cell, it was just like I was still in a project. I had the same feeling. I was comfortable. I was situated because I grew up in that same environment. So when I made the transition from society to another culture of living, which is society inside of prison, I was totally fine. One thing I was not ready for, I wasn't ready to experience the ignorancy that I was faced with in prison. And I don't mean that in a bad way. They have guys that I literally grew up with and didn't know this none of my life, was reading on the 3rd grade level, was doing math on the 2nd grade level. And my heart used to hurt for those dudes because I was like, man, I mean, this is my partner. I'm thinking we all kind of advancing together. But in prison, your vulnerabilities show. If you say you're smart, they're going to have people that are going to put you to the test. If you say you're a dog and you can do this, they're going to have people that test you every single day of your incarceration. So for me, it was easy. I had bad behaviors, but I had a real good ability to learn. And that was before I went to prison. In education, I excelled. In my behavior pattern, everything went downward. So I educated myself to the max. And when I got released February 17th, my mentor and my brother was right here, sticking the camera in my face. And for 24 years, let me point this out. And for 24 years, I made 4 cents in prison. 4 cents an hour every day for 24 years. Right now, and I'm not going to tell you the dollar amount, but I make astronomical numbers to do what I love to do what I really get up, enjoy. I really enjoy going to work because it's not about the money for me. It's not about the money. It's about the fulfillment of what I do. And also I know this, this is going to allow me to live in my purpose once I do give my job up, because I don't plan on working. Matter of fact, in February, well, potentially in February of next year, in January, I'm getting married in January. Thank you. In January, I'm getting married. So in February, I'm gonna start my own company. In February, I'm gonna start my own company. And me and a young guy came up with a product that's gonna be mind blowing for all the baby bloomers who don't like going clean your house off all the green mold and algae that's on the house. We have a product coming real soon. Spray and wipe, or spray and get a hose pipe, and it's gonna come right off. And restoration. We talk about reconciliation, right? The product have a restoration process in it. So it actually restores the vinyl, wood, or whatever the case may be that your house is made of. In the community I live in, I cater to the community that I live in. I live in an older community, older, or like 80 years old, so all the houses is wood houses. So the product that I came up with, but it's gonna be universal, of course, product that we came up with, it also restore your home as well. So I have one word for the younger people and for the older people and the middle-aged people, because I think I fit right in the middle. Yeah, I fit right in the middle. I coined this saying, I put it on a shirt. Unfortunately, I didn't wear that shirt today because I wanted to look pretty good. And I've been living by this for probably about the last 15 years, give or take. Starve your distractions and feed your focus. Whatever your distractions are, we all have vices. We don't have to tell nobody our vices. You have to look at it in the mirror every day, because you look at you if you really know who you are. Starve your distractions and feed your focus. What is your focus? You don't have to tell nobody your focus either, because your walk shows what you focus on. My grandfather told me, a man don't have to tell you who his wife is. That's all you got to do is pay attention to the husband, because he's the leader. So whatever she into, that's his mind's thought. If she materialistic, 8 out of 10, the guy is materialistic. And I'm only saying that from a leadership role. That's not universal now. Because I see some faces, some women looking like, hold up, that ain't true, hold up. From a leadership role, because as men, we ordained to lead. In the moment that we give up that power, and it doesn't matter what your ethnic background, where you come from, the moment you give up your power of leadership, you give up a lot of yourself, a big portion of yourself. You turn it over. And the worst thing that we want to do is follow people that don't have no vision, that can't lead you anywhere. You're destined to fail. Thank y'all.
Yeah, hello. How y'all doing? My name is Earl Higgins. I've been home now 5 years. After doing 5 years, this time, I'm saying this time because I was very much a reoccurring listen, man, it's hard for me not to be honest, because my emotions tell on me all the time. So when I was hearing people say honesty, it's hard for me not to be honest, because my emotions tell on me all the time. I don't care what I say. I'm gonna keep it clean. I don't care what I say, my emotions will tell on me. And I'm not speaking for any of y'all, I'm speaking for me. Yeah, but I was in and out for a lot of years. And when I finally realized the reason why I was in and out of prison, that's when it started to make sense for me. Like, it wasn't the actual physical building, the statue, the institution itself, the physical. It was the words and the documents that I had been accustomed to believe. And it was The U.S. Constitution, it's probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the most delusional pieces that was ever written, because it say we the people. First off, that's delusional because it was all white men that was describing an order to keep some people in place that wasn't them. And as it turns out, after doing some reading and some of my own interpretation, it turned out the people that they were trying to keep in place were white women and black people, which blows my mind to this day why white women and black folks are not allies. Just blows my mind. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe my interpretation is wrong, but that's what I see. And until I was able to decipher that on my own terms, and like the behaviors I have been displaying for all these years was because I had been controlled by this thing. And I meet opposition from people that's supposed to be my ally that said that you're not allowed to vote. First of all, you can live in my house, woman, but you're not allowed to vote. You don't make decisions here. And y'all know who I'm talking about when I say woman. We the people. It's probably the most delusional piece of thing that was ever written. We the people. Hey man, I told y'all, it's kind of hard for me not to be honest because my emotions tell on me. And but listen, been home 5 years, and it wasn't until I was able to actually decipher those documents, and Kiana, you hit on it, the black and white of things that controlled my behaviors for a lot of years. That's when it started to make sense to me. Like, oh, I see what it is. Even if, man, listen, I got some wisdom from Mike Tyson. He said, listen, I don't care how we change the system, how much we change the system, it will always live in us. I'm like, go ahead, Mike. You know what you're talking about, bro. Okay, how much we change the system itself, it still lives in us. And that was the thing that opened my eyes, like, wow. So it mattered, but it doesn't matter how much I changed the wording on that piece of document. I still live by it. Crazy to me. Didn't make sense to Mike Tyson. I was like, wow, that's cool. But Kiana, man, this guy here, I always embarrass him with this, man. It was when I made it home, man, I was home about 35 days, bro. And just like this, it was a setting just like this at a town hall meeting, and the mic was going around, and they were like, hey, somebody want to say anything? And I said, yeah, I'm gonna get that microphone. I'm gonna tell these people exactly what I'm thinking. And in my mind, it was the most eloquent thing I had ever said. But when I said it, they were like, man, what is dude talking about? But here's the thing. I told y'all, it's hard for me to not be honest. My emotions tell on me. Kiana saw it. He saw my frustration. He saw it. And he immediately afterwards, he said, man, listen, brother, I understand. And I was like, really? You understood what I was saying up there? And that started my journey on doing the work in my community. In my community. And when I say my community, it starts with me. And the one thing I didn't hear about the reconciliation was, it starts with me. And when I started that, it started in prison. As a matter of fact, it started in prison without me even knowing that I was actually creating change. And one of the huge, and I tell this story all the time, it was one incident, it was a microwave. I tell this all the time. It was the microwave. They had taken our microwave off the tier, and the guys on the tier were always recycling and stuff like, man, if the man was here, this is what I'm gonna tell him, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, man, if the people, this and that. And I'm sitting there drinking my lukewarm coffee, reading my spiritual books, and my law, the law, because I'm fighting my case, my habitual offender act. I'm a fourth offender. They're giving me 20 to life for one piece of crack. And by the way, I am guilty. Yes, and I did do that. But anyway, and I'm sitting and I'm reading it and I'm drinking my coffee and I'm like, man, what are they talking about? And I look up, and the guy that they're saying that if he was there, they would talk to him, he's standing at the bars. And out of my frustration, this is why I knew that frustration, I'm saying this for frustration, it's not a bad thing. I'm saying that for me. Out of my frustration of hearing what they kept recycling this thought of what they would say, I say, man, that's the dude right there. That's the warden there. That's the dude they need to be talking. They don't need to be cycling it to us. We know already. They took the microwave. I walk up to the bars and as calmly and as politely as I could, because he's the one in charge. Excuse me, sir, we need to have some clarity about this microwave. You took the microwave off the tier, and your rationale is that one person was the cause of it, that the microwave is being taken. And I say, well, it's a flaw in that, because if one person was the cause of the microwave being taken, there's one person in here that didn't do anything. Oh, you a smart ass. I'm like, no, that thinking is flawed to say one person can be the cause of everybody being punished, because there's one person here that didn't do anything. We need to have some clarity on what your policy says about punishment. Why take the microwave from all when one was the cause? Long story short, after being threatened with going to the blocks, cool, I'm good with that. Just give us some clarity. While I was packing, the guy walks on the tier and tells me, I need you off the tier. Cool with that. Let me pack my stuff. He said, don't worry about that. Long story short, because I was willing to stand up, the other guy was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, because you really, and in that moment, I realized, like, wow, it only takes one person to actually say what everybody else is actually thinking and have enough courage to be willing to go to the blocks, right? Because that was just like another, maybe I give me some solitude in there. Maybe I'd be able to meditate a little bit more. But we came back with the microwave. We came back with that microwave. And the point of that story is that once I realized it was much bigger than me, and I realized these guys, even though they say they would challenge the man, it only takes one person to say something, man. And that started my journey, man. When I came home, Kiana was one of the first persons I bumped into, man. And he brought me in, and he's continued to push me in front of city council. We've worked on policy restoring rights for unemployment to formerly incarcerated people. And we were currently working on restoring rights for formerly incarcerated people to rent homes, which was another huge barrier when I came home. You know, I was, man, and I say it all the time, man. I will say this all the time, man. I was denied food stamps, housing, because I was a formerly incarcerated person. However, because I was denied those things I thought that I deserved, it worked the total opposite for me. It frustrated me, and it made me dig in just that harder to say, you know what? Those things are not for me. And maybe I should be working to help other people to actually get those things. And I become more financially insulated. I've been working financially to be self-sufficient in all aspects, because listen, when I do step in front of a legislator or anybody, I want it to be known that I don't care. You cannot touch me because I am financially stable. I am financially stable. I control what I do today as a result of the system. It works well as a result of the system telling me, I don't want you. Cool. I know the rules today, and guess what? I play them the way they were given to me. And I don't know if anything I'm saying is making sense. It makes sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me. Like I say, I've been home 5 years and I get tired. When I tell you I get tired, but I understand that my time that has been given to me is not my time anymore, it's for other people. Because I'm useful, my useful time today is not my time anymore, it's for other people. And man, I am so inconvenient sometimes. I'm like, man, you know what? I would rather be at home watching some Netflix. I'm passing out flyers. I got to deal with people that don't want to hear what's so important. Man, I'm so glad I grew up in a household with a black mama that was like, boy, get your tough skin. When I tell you I am so grateful for the life, man, here's the thing. I wouldn't change not one part of my journey. Man, you talk about, being for reconciling some stuff. What? Man, at one time, Keith, my name's, I wouldn't have, listen, holding the mic and speaking in front of y'all would intimidate me. I was scared of y'all. I would judge y'all, and I still do it. As soon as I walked in the door, I say, oh no, here we go. It was only because I didn't take the time to even learn or even engage anyone. The second I walk in the door, I'm already formulating like who this person is. I do it all the time. Talk about some honesty. Yeah, I still do it because I know you're doing it to me. How about that? But guess what, though? You can't move me. Believe that. I'm gonna be here. I still have a lot to give. Like I said, I'm tired. I should be right now. As a matter of fact, right now I have a cake in the car for my daddy. My daddy's birthday, his 77th birthday. I should be there right now. And as soon as I stop talking, which I am about to, I will be leaving and going spending some time with Pops. Thank y'all for letting me share.
Hold up, before you leave. And that's what I mean about healing. That's what I mean about amplifying voices of individuals who always sometimes feel like they never heard. So it's an honor for Kiana to be asked to participate in an event such as this. But I'll be doing myself a disservice if I don't amplify the voices of our survivors. That's the main reason why I have these individuals occupying this space with me today, because right now I am in a healing space in my existence. I am dealing with triggers of post-incarceration syndrome that only me, you, a few of us in here that can really identify with. So in order for us to first and foremost hold yourself accountable and say, you know what, I need to figure out what is this triggering me. I need to figure out what type of space that I can walk into and be my authentically self. And that's the space that Mr. Johnson was talking about with the Impacted Solitary Survivors Council. This is some work that I have been working with Louisiana Stop Solitary Coalition for over 5 years now. We've had remarkable victories in our state legislation. Last year, for an example, we prohibited the use of solitary confinements for juveniles in the juvenile institutions. And that bill would not have passed out of that House floor without the testimony of two brave, brilliant young men that just come home from serving juvenile life. They went in at 12, 13, and came home at 20 on their 21st birthday without any resources, without any support, without anybody to navigate them through the hardships of re-entering back into society. But just so happened, they were working with Kiana and Roots of Renewal NOLA, which is the reentry organization that I am the director of, and we gear toward young men 18 to 26 returning home from incarceration, giving them the tools that they may need to become successful, whether it be through construction, whether it be through arts, whether it be through welding barbecue grills. Because a lot of individuals just need the map. I didn't have that map. When I came home, I was forced to figure it out on my own, knocking on doors and allowing them to slam in my face, but having that resilience that a lot of people don't possess, that's where we come into space at. So the ISSC is a council to kind of guide the way that next session's legislation is going to be going by giving the attorneys at Louisiana Stop Solitary Coalition the ample opportunity to figure out what's right and what's wrong. First and foremost, what is solitary confinement? How can you define solitary confinement if you haven't sat in your bathroom for 24 hours? And that's a free person. That's a free person. So the ISSC will be a healing mechanism first and foremost. Like I said, this is a healing stage for us as a whole. The Jubilee year, the first will become last and the last will become first. So now we have to give individuals the tools that they may need to become those experts in those spaces. This is an expert. That is an expert. I am an expert. Napa, you're an expert. It's like, how do we allow these spaces to stop writing the meal, filling out the menu for a house or a family that may be lactose intolerant? So if you don't know what if this family can't eat milk, why are we sending them eggs and milks to their house? And that's what our government has been doing. That's what our state policymakers and gatekeepers have been doing. They have been making this menu and say, here, eat it. We not on the menu no more. We at the table. We helping design this menu moving forward into the next space. And I want this to be interactive, so if anyone have any questions, there we go. Please raise your hand, and we will definitely get the mic to you. I'll start over here first.
Thank you. Mine's a quick question, but what you're doing in legislation, are you only doing it in Louisiana? Are you looking to do it in other states as well, or on a federal level? Because Florida needs you.
Honestly, we did some work in Florida, 2018 with the Florida Rights Restoration Group, and we we contacted over 1.7 million people, just knocking on doors. But yes, I am doing it nationally. Last month, I was in Washington, D.C. I am a part of the National Justice Network. And we had a group of young leaders, such as the table that we had over there, actually spearheading the conversation on youth alternatives to incarceration. So, and that was to the DOJ, to Liz Rice, all of the head honchos in Washington, D.C. And I think that it was a great conversation. I'll always continue to stretch the work that we're doing, because Louisiana is the pilot for this next criminal justice reform energy. We are the pilot. The things that we are doing here in Louisiana is remarkable, and it needs to be replicated in states that have the similar or higher incarcerated rates than we have. We must understand that we incarcerate more people in here than any place in the world. We incarcerate more people in Louisiana than China and North Korea put together. And I can name a many more. But the work that we're doing here is awesome. The work that we're doing here is needed. And now that we're spearheading this work, I don't see that it's leaving anytime soon. And I would love to get involved in Florida. We'll definitely connect.
First of all, I want to commend all three of you and my brother Kiana. You're doing a great job. I don't have to say continue because that's who you are, and I know you will. And my brother right here, I hope and pray for success for your new business that's coming. And my man right here, I can relate to you when you was speaking about the microwave and then you know how what that means, because I've been in that situation many times, and that the system, it looks at that as exciting a ride. You know, just because you spoke up, and you probably was just speaking up for yourself, not for the whole unit, not for everybody in there, because you wanted that microwave. But the system, they consider that as inciting a ride. And so I've been locked up many times for that during my stay in prison. So continue doing what y'all doing. Y'all doing a great job.
I want to say thank you all for being here today and sharing your stories with us. We need to hear them. And we are glad you're here. Welcome. You have a place here. My question is, how can we be better allies to you, particularly in this particular community of New Orleans?
First and foremost, holding yourself accountable for the spaces that you occupy. Miss Becky, we've been in many meetings today. So I know that this question is not for you, which kind of rectifies your intentions to this work. Your heart is genuine, your heart is pure. And the thing about it is that your eyes are on the sparrow, which means that you see. But holding yourself accountable is walking out of your front door and knocking on your neighbor's door and saying, hey, that was a guy that just was released from prison 2 days ago, served 30 years for a crime that he didn't commit. They may be like, why are you telling me that? I just need you to know that these are our neighbors. People in Louisiana, there are over 1,600 people that are being released monthly. Like people are coming home. People are coming home. So we cannot turn a blind eye to the way that the system is governing the way reentry is supposed to look. You can't understand reentry, or you can't put a narrative to reentry if you're not allowing the people who have been closest to that problem have a voice. And I think that's the great space, like being able to, Ms. Becky, hold yourself accountable. And by you holding yourself accountable, you aware and educate and organize your allies to say, hey, Louisiana Stop Solitary Coalition is having a meeting. Justice and Accountability Center, they're doing expungement clinics. So when they see you, they'll be like, oh, they're either going to say one or two things. They're going to say one or two things, Miss B. They're going to say, that's that old lady right there. You know what I'm saying? Let's get from around that old lady. Or they're going to be like, Miss Becky got that information. She got them jewels. She dropping jewels. Because it looks different. You got to understand, it looks different coming out of your mouth than coming out of my mouth. After my exoneration, I feel like after everything smooths off in the process, get to the space, definitely speaking it to existence. So after my exoneration, I don't know what the next chapter will be like, how it'll be, where would I be? Would I move to New Zealand and start writing my memoirs? Or would I be a professor at Loyola? Hey, man, they got a lot of birds out there, man. So so it's just like trying to reimagine, re-envision a world without incarceration. I think that that's something that we all should kind of put into our mind. Like, close your eyes and try to envision the world without incarceration and tell me what that looked like. And we must understand that incarceration impacts people differently. You can be directly impacted or you can be vicariously impacted. But incarceration feels different. It looks different. It has a different smell to someone who just don't know nothing about it. So and honestly, I understand that my name was on the actual pamphlet or the package, but this is not about me. This is about the graduates who's been doing a magnificent job raising and uplifting the formerly incarcerated women of their population from the inside, and you still see that sisterhood rolls on the outside. I done attended a lot of graduate shows. I done been Tulane, like, that's my dog. And I'm like, yeah, let's get it. I'm dancing with them because I understand the impact of it. I understand the why of it. I understand the purpose of it. And so when we speak about jail or prisons nationwide, we must speak about people. My number was 372220. I never forget it. When I first went to Angola, I was at the end of the line, running to try to keep up with in a line of 250 individuals with tools on their shoulder, trying to keep up with them because I'm at the end. But as the years start to progress and progress and progress, I'm no longer at the end. Now I'm kind of like in the middle. Then I kind of like move to the front. I have a 30 number. Now they got 80 numbers, 90 numbers now, because the system is a well-oiled machine. And until we understand that we must dismantle this machine from the inside, we have to get in there and pull some screws out. We have to get out there and pull out some nuts and bolts and the sprocket, and then we go in there and we try to refurbish it. And I love to talk about the Constitution. I really did a essay on our Louisiana Constitution, just posting it into the 1898 spacing, when at the new Louisiana Constitutional Convention, when they actually stated and reaffirmed that the non-unanimous jury was put into place to preserve the white superiority of this state. It is written, it is documented, it is real. So when we speak about race, which is a not so materialized topic at this moment, because we're not trying to drink out of the white water faucets. We're not trying to go into the white bathrooms. We're not trying to sit in the front of the bus. This is a systemic racism that we're dealing with now. And the systemic racism, it is based on classism. What is your class? What is your background? Where do you come from? And that's when we need to kind of understand that we together, collectively, we have done a lot, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to do. And implementing impacted individuals, like the story that the video that I just showed, I was going to show 4 or 5 of them because they're like a minute and 15 seconds. I will encourage everyone to go to 40 for 40 Worldwide YouTube, and you can see the Black History Project that we placed up this year. It's like 20, we did a video every day for 28 years highlighting impacted individuals, and we're kind of tying it in to influential pioneers who practically was speaking the same rhetoric, saying the same words 50, 60 years ago. So why are we still saying the same thing? Why are we still feeling oppressed and pushed under and downsized? Because our educational factors are gone. We're not allowing our children to be their true authentic selves, because, like one of them said, my mama want to live through me. I don't want to live through my son. I have 3 kids since I've been home. KJ is 9, Caden is 7, and Casey Angel is 15 months. And I do not want to live through my children. I want you to see Pops walking in his passion. I want you to look up to Pops because I'm walking in my true, authentic self. but I can't force me into my son. I see the character traits. I know where I need to deal with it, but sometimes I have to let them figure it out. They're 9. They got a lot of life ahead of them, But I just want to be that influential person, not only in my son's life or in my fiance's life or in my mother's life. I want to be that influential person in every person's life that I touch. And that's how I walk. I walk like I'm punching my ticket to heaven every day. When I wake up and I get dressed and I get spiffy, I step out, I be like, boy, you look good, boy. Now who you gonna save today? Coming out like Superman. But that's our cloak. That's our cloak. That's our cape. But I before we go, because I know he have to leave. I also have another event. So it was an honor. Any more questions?
Thing about what can you do? One thing I don't see enough of is white folks actually going to their lawmakers and demanding their tax dollars be spent wisely in the criminal justice, whatever you want to call it. But listen, I'm saying that to say this is because when I made it home, it was my counterparts that made sure that I was supported. They made sure I was supported. And they were very concerned that their tax dollars wasn't being spent properly on reentry and incarcerating folks and not educating folks. It's a huge problem. I don't know if it's just something that, denial is something, It's something like, oh, it'll take care of itself. Y'all know about the broken window effect, huh? Somebody will do it. But if that can be like a constant, how are my dollars being spent on that person coming home? I don't want to see no facts. I want to see where this is what I need to be done. And I'm gonna shut up because I could go on and on. All right.
But we definitely
Shane had to go.
We have a few more endeavors that'll be coming out real soon. This is what I want to ask right there, because if you notice at the end of the video, I had the individual say their name and we are all the same. And I'm about to show you why we are all the same. If you have been impacted directly by the criminal justice system, can you please raise your hand? Okay. That's about roughly 45, 50, a little bit over 50%. If you have been impacted vicariously, meaning brother, sister, aunt, cousin, somebody that you know. Okay. Now, everybody who have been directly impacted, keep your hands up. Everybody who's been directly impacted, raise your hand. We are all the same. Look, it's overwhelming. The numbers are overwhelming. That it is impossible for us not to understand or take a hindsight look at the way that our criminal justice system is structured. There's over 73% of the state's budget that goes towards incarcerating individuals, their citizens. But there's less than 10% of the budget that goes to educating those very same individuals. That sounds like, and I say, like, I also know that I'm giving these statistics and these facts to the ones that know. But it's great to always be prepared than have to get prepared. So what we're doing right now is we're getting you prepared to walk into your communities and express this same rhetoric. Talk about how you can get involved. Talk about the individuals and organizations that's really putting in this work. And I'll say it one more time. And I can say it with pride now. I can say it with emphasis. My name is Kiana Calloway, and I am a formerly incarcerated person who has a vision to change this world. Thank you.
We gotta go big or go home. We're down to the gold. Never been a better time.